Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for coming along today to today's BAGMA webinar concerning the BAGMA Agricultural Tractor Trailer Scheme, or ATTS as we call it for sake of brevity. As Richard mentioned, I've got a presentation to show you which will take about 35 minutes, and then we'll have questions afterwards. I'm hoping that the presentation should actually answer a number of your questions as we go through, but there are bound to be a few, so we'll see how we go. So, first and foremost, what actually is the ATTS? Well, this was something that BAGMA developed, or rather commissioned Scarlet Research Limited to develop on their behalf back in 2021. And it is a vehicle roadworthiness inspection and brake testing system in a single package, to which end it's specifically been developed for agricultural vehicles. The inspection criteria we use is based on HGV vehicle annual test criteria, albeit they've been adapted to suit the features and characteristics of agricultural vehicles. And it's intended for tractors, trailers, trailed implements, and self-propelled vehicles, whether they be telehandlers, self-propelled sprayers, forage harvesters, combines, even if you wish to. But if something is on the road and it does road miles and it needs to be inspected and tested, then there's no reason why the ATTS can't be used for it. So what is it? Well, the ATTS scheme is designed to be delivered by professionally trained dealer technicians. Each technician is required to attend a 2-day training course and also pass a written exam prior to being authorized by BAGMA to actually deliver ATTS. The person is authorized, not the company. The purpose of ATTS is actually to undertake a roadworthiness inspection and subsequent test of the vehicle. So the underlying reason is to reassure the user and owner of that vehicle that it will meet statutory roadworthiness requirements. It also highlights any tractor or trailer issues which need to be addressed in order to meet those requirements, whether those elements are addressed or those defects are addressed by the owner once they take the equipment away, or whether they bring them back to the dealer to do themselves. The purpose, though, is to complement regular on-farm maintenance and operator checks, not to actually replace them. So why did BAGMA go to the trouble of doing this? Well, quite simply, BAGMA has been delivering brake testing, or had been delivering brake testing for over 15 years, come 2021. And during that time, tractors and trailers had changed quite a lot. Many more tractors were traveling at 50 kilometers per hour or even more. And of course, trailers had become larger and also heavier, to which end, as we know, not that many people would admit it, many, if not most, users of agricultural tractors and trailers in large farming operations are now bending UK road regulations. So also, another reason for ATTS development was the fact that the trailer braking systems had improved, or the tractor trailer braking systems had improved over time. They'd become more complex. Load sensing valves were now present, and indeed are now present, on most new trailers, and most certainly were present on older, larger trailers. Dual line pneumatic braking systems are now commonplace and are almost seen as industry standard on larger stuff. But also, as of this January, all tractors must now be fitted with dual line braking system, whether that's a dual line trailer braking system, whether that's a pneumatic system, which is the one shown in the middle, or a dual line hydraulic system, which is the one shown on the right. So why bother with it? Why bother with ATTS? What's the point? Why go to the expense in this hard-pressed modern world? Well, agricultural vehicles don't by law require regular independent roadworthiness inspections. They don't require MOT tests. But owners and operators of agricultural vehicles that go on the road are legally required to ensure their vehicles, for a start, don't exceed statutory speed or weight limits, meet legal construction and performance requirements, are maintained in a safe and roadworthy condition, and don't endanger the safety of other road users. So in actual fact, if you're pulled into a lay-by or a roadside stop by DVSA, the actual test, or rather inspection criteria, which they will apply to your agricultural vehicle is exactly the same as if you took it into a test station and it went down a test lane. There's no difference. The standards you have to meet are exactly the same. There's no lower standard for agricultural vehicles. The difference is you just don't actually have to, by law, take it and submit it to an annual test. So today, unfortunately, most tractors, trailers and trailed implements used on road don't tick all those above mentioned boxes. They may be safe and roadworthy, or perhaps they may not be, but whether they meet statutory speed or weight limits is questionable. So perhaps it's a good idea to tick as many of those boxes as you possibly can, just in case something does go wrong. Because remember, if it does go wrong, it needn't necessarily be due to your own actions. It might be due to the actions of another road user, but it then brings your vehicles under scrutiny. So effectively, ATTS vehicle inspection and testing provides businesses, farming businesses, with a proactive risk management for users who are potentially pushing the limits. And by the limits, I mean operating conventional tractors at speeds over 40 kilometers per hour and towing trailers of over 14 tons carrying capacity. Perhaps I should qualify that by saying towing tipping trailers of over 14 tons carrying capacity, because if you are, then effectively you're already operating outside of legal on-road limits today. And the most common and popular size of grain trailer sold in the UK at the moment is somewhere between 16 and 18 tons. So I think that's indicative. So why bother with ATS? Over to my colleague.
Let's face a few facts. Every owner and user of vehicles that travel on UK roads have a legal duty to maintain those machines in a safe and roadworthy condition at all times. It doesn't just stop there. If machines are used in the field and never go on the road, they still have to be maintained and kept in a safe condition. So it's absolutely essential you inspect and maintain your tractor and trailer braking systems. Okay, so you do that. Is that enough? Do you know if those braking systems are actually going to perform and deliver the necessary level of efficiency that you require in order to be safe and legal? Truth is, you don't. So what do you do? What's the answer?
So what actually does the ATTS involve? Well, obviously we're dealing with two different types of vehicle. One that tows and one that is trailed behind. As we mentioned earlier, it can be the towing vehicle can be a tractor, telehandler, anything with an engine in it. Alternatively, the towed vehicle can be trailer, trailed implement of any sort. First and foremost, as I mentioned, we have a vehicle inspection component. So in that element, we're looking at the build specification of the vehicle and also its physical condition in relation to roadworthiness and safety related components. Then secondly, this is followed up by vehicle testing. Now then what's actually done in that area depends upon what we're actually dealing with, whether we're actually dealing with a tractor and towing vehicle or a trailer. If it's a tractor, then we are looking at the service brake performance of the vehicle, and also the behavior of the tractor-trailer brake valve, which controls the braking system on the towed vehicle. If we're dealing with a trailer, then we're looking at the performance of the load sensing valve, if one is fitted, which it almost certainly will be, and also finally the performance of the trailer service brakes. So the precise activities are tailored to the vehicle type, and those inspection criteria which are used for the roadworthiness inspection and the test procedures and also the reporting forms are tailored to suit which type of vehicle you're dealing with. That's all part of the ATTS package. So here, for example, are the elements which are expected on an agricultural trailer or a trailed implement. Based around in 4 particular areas. Those 4 areas are centered on exactly the same areas as one would have for an HGV truck trailer. So chassis, body and attachments, wheels, tires, axles and suspension, lamps, reflectors and electrical equipment, and then finally braking equipment, both its condition and its operation. A total of 34 inspection items depending on the spec on the vehicle. Those 34 items are reported on a dedicated inspection form here, basically in 3 categories: whether the condition of the item is okay and acceptable, whether it requires further attention before substantial further use, or whether it requires immediate attention. In other words, it's either not safe to go on the road, or if the user took it on the road, they would be non-compliant and subject to prosecution were they to be pulled over. So this is for the trained ATTS trained dealer technician to complete and then pass a copy to the user. And finally, at the very tail end of the document, you'll see that there's a section on trailer braking performance, which is where we then actually feed in information concerning the brake test, which is also performed following the inspection. Now, of course, there's absolutely no compunction on the vehicle owner to put any of this right. But if they're bringing something to be inspected in the first place, then obviously it's in their own interest to actually find out what's wrong with it and actually put it right in order to comply with the law. But obviously that's an entirely voluntary activity on their part. So what about trailer brake performance testing? Well, BAGMA have always done this up until now using dynamic deceleration braking performance braking test equipment. The trailer brakes are applied remotely, and that stops the entire tractor-trailer combination. So in actual fact, in doing that test, it replicates how the trailer brakes will actually work on the road in a dynamic instance. Specialist in-cab measuring equipment, which is shown on the right here, then measures the tractor-trailer deceleration, the test speed, the time to stop, and also the braking distance. And in so doing, it calculates the actual trailer braking efficiency by knowing the weight of the tractor-trailer combination as a whole and the separate weight of the the separate weight of the trailer rather. So to see that in practice, here's a trailer brake test being performed in a farmyard. And that's an 18-ton trailer accelerating from a standing start on a flat piece of concrete. And as you can see, it doesn't actually take that much space to do it. It's got a 155 horsepower tractor on the front of it. And there are the results that came from that test. So we had a gross weight of nearly 33 tons, about 21 tons across the trailer axles. It stopped in just under 2.5 seconds. We were traveling just over 21 kilometers per hour at the time. Stopping distance was 7 meters, and the braking efficiency was very marginally under 45%. So almost okay to travel above 40 kilometers per hour, but unfortunately not quite. Now, BAGMA, some people like the concept of roller brake testers, because obviously this is what's used in HGV test lanes, and so there is the perception among some users that therefore they must be better. In actual fact, both decelerometer test equipment and also roller brake test equipment, if used properly, will deliver results of equal accuracy, but if used improperly, can equally generate inaccurate results quite happily. So we, or BAGMA, are currently working with the Danish manufacturer BM Autotechnique to develop an option to include roller brake test equipment within the ATTS if customers so desire. That has some benefits in terms of it removes the need for a dynamic test area and also pre-weighing of the trailer. However, the test equipment is much more expensive, and the trailer must still be fully ballasted during testing. It's essential that all the tractor and trailer wheels must be at the same level during testing, not like as shown here. It's no good just driving the wheels up onto the rollers or a mobile roller brake tester such as this and having the rear wheels or the front bogie down at a lower level. I'll explain that later. And also roller brake test equipment can't perform four-wheel trailer brake tests on four-wheel drive tractors, not unless the front wheels of the tractor are actually supported on separate rollers, because as you can imagine, when you actually engage the brakes or apply the brakes, most four-wheel drive tractors also engage four-wheel drive, and that would then just drag it straight off the rollers. What about tractor inspection and tractor brake testing? Well, here's the range of items which are inspected for roadworthiness for a tractor or a self-propelled vehicle. Similar categories to those used but for the ag trailer in terms of chassis, body and attachments, lamps, reflectors, electrical equipment, wheels, tires, axle and suspension, of course braking equipment. But also we've got another range or another category here with regard to visibility in terms of field of vision, the condition of the glass, the mirrors, windscreen wipers, windscreen and washers. Also, there's other elements down here in terms of driver's seat, seatbelt anchorages, towing couplings, exhaust pipes and silencers, fuel tank, things which are not found, obviously, on a towed vehicle. You'll notice here at the bottom end, we also have the tractor-trailer brake control valve and three different options: single-line hydraulic, dual-line hydraulic, or dual-line pneumatic. Some of you will be starting to become aware of the introduction of dual-line hydraulic trailer braking systems, or at least onto the towing vehicle, if not necessarily on the trailer as yet. Well, the BAGMA ATTS scheme includes training on dual-line hydraulic systems already. We've made it future-proof specifically with the expectation that that would be a requirement. What about the tractor-trailer brake valve? Well, this is something which is so frequently overlooked when people undertake trailer brake testing, because you can have the best trailer braking system on God's earth, but if the tractor-trailer brake valve doesn't work properly and doesn't deliver the right pressures, then the trailer is never going to brake, because the tractor-trailer brake valve is the key link in the chain to link the tractor braking system to energize and control the trailer braking system. So the ATTS procedures actually test the tractor trailer brake valve pressure output in relation to tractor foot brake pedal pressure. In other words, the actual service brake performance of the tractor. So we're actually checking the full system through. And we both check both hydraulic and pneumatic brake valves in that respect. So what about a tractor brake performance test? Well, here's how it's done. Again, from a standing start in a farmyard. Very quick, short, sharp, succinct, easy to do, no problem. And the results, there we go. Now, the observant amongst you will realise that the tractor in this question is not indeed a Valtra N114, but nonetheless, this was the only printout I had available. But it gives you a good idea in terms of, again, we're talking about somewhere between 20 and 25 kmh, so up to about 15 miles an hour is going to do the job absolutely fine. Bringing that to a halt takes around about a second and a half. It's all over and done with very quickly. The vehicle actually stops in less than 5 meters, and in this case we've got a braking efficiency of 55% or thereabouts. Now that's typical. Typically you expect somewhere between 55 and high 60s percent braking efficiency for a modern agricultural tractor. So what is the ATTS package? What you get? What does the dealer get, and what does the dealer have to sell to the customer? Well, for a start, you've got the dedicated 2-day training course, which includes classroom, workshop, and practical testing elements. Some people say, oh, 2 days, can't spare a man for 2 days. How are we going to manage that? Well, if it was easy enough to deliver in 1 day, it would be 1 day long. And if you're going to train somebody to inspect safety critical vehicle systems, I'm afraid it takes 2 days. Quite simple. It's not a simple thing to deliver, and you're asking people to actually work with safety critical machinery. To that end, every technician gets a comprehensive reference guide showing them information with regard to relevant agricultural vehicle rules and regulations, statutory requirements, how tractor and trailer braking systems work, and the key features that need to be tested, information concerning the actual tractor and trailer inspection procedures to implement, and also the criteria to apply when assessing vehicle roadworthiness, and finally, how to actually perform the vehicle brake test procedures. All that information is in that document, which it runs to nearly 120 pages. That's the workshop manual for the job. In addition, the technician is supplied with dedicated vehicle inspection and brake test report forms, so 1 to use per test, and also a range of test procedure checklists to help them undertake the interim inspections and checks on things such as the brake valves and also the operation of the braking system on the vehicle before checking its actual performance. Because operation is one thing, actually delivering the goods in performance testing is a second subsequent thing. And finally, the all-important thing, a vehicle pass test sticker, which actually obviously put on the vehicle and is directly linked to the test report form for that specific vehicle when it finally ticks all the boxes in the green list and actually develops sufficient braking performance. When undertaking brake tests, BAGMA technicians will rate a vehicle whether or not it delivers sufficient performance for use up to 40 kilometers per hour maximum speed, or whether it can actually be used at speeds above that according to statutory requirements. So when the owner goes away, they're left in no doubt what the vehicle can do and can't do legally. What about the material to support and promote the ATTS? Well, dealers are supplied with ATTS promotional banners, which obviously can be used in premises at point of sale, promotional leaflets to give to customers, and also for, if you want detailed information to promote to customers, then of course there's the AA Look Behind Your guide to tractor trailer braking, which integrates into the ATTS and helps support it quite nicely. Now, of course, the ATTS isn't the only person out there, or it isn't the only scheme out there in the marketplace delivering product to potential customers. And here are two potential competitors, the Tilly Pass scheme and also Merit Inspection Solutions. And it's only fair to acknowledge, the presence of these people in the marketplace. But let's just look momentarily at how their offerings stack up with regard to the ATTS. With regard to vehicle inspection, Tilly Pass is a vehicle inspection scheme, but Merit Inspection Solutions is purely brake test. Tilly Pass doesn't include a brake performance test. Obviously, Merit does. The Tilly Pass vehicle inspection scheme is not based on DVSA test criteria. It covers 18 items in the trailer inspection, whereas BAGMA ATTS covers 34. Both Merit and Tilly are only applicable to towed vehicles. ATTS can cover both the towing and the towed vehicle. Neither Tilly nor Merit includes a setup check of the trailer load sensing valve, as far as I'm aware. But even if it does, the difference with ATTS is we actually instruct and explain and show technicians and train technicians how to set up a load sensing valve correctly and actually calculate how it should be set up from first principles. Obviously, it's only fair to say both Merit and ourselves require that a vehicle must be laden during a brake test. But with regard to provision of a detailed technician training course and a technical reference guide to be there to help guide the technician through the rest of their careers with regard to delivering this, ATTS is the only one that ticks the box. I would also add that an ATTS trained technician requires refresher training, albeit a much shorter course, every 5 years. So why should a dealer choose the ATTS and why should a customer choose the ATTS? Well, quite simply, it's vehicle roadworthiness inspection and brake testing in a single package. It's specifically developed for agricultural vehicles. It's not a modification of something else used for another road vehicle. It incorporates a comprehensive training course. It has dedicated inspection and test reporting material, which is built to do the job, and it utilizes proven testing equipment and measuring techniques, which have a very substantial track record of delivering the goods. Quite simply, it does what it says on the tin. It's an agricultural tractor and trailer testing scheme. So thank you very much for listening. I'm happy to take any questions. And if you want more information, please go to the BAGMA website or follow this remarkably succinct web link at the bottom here. Thank you very much.